Hey, what's up, guys? This is Francisco coming back at you once again. This time, video is going to be a lot different. As I've been promising the last few months, wanted to revamp how I was doing these videos. Still going to do some reaction and reviews, but I also said I wanted to make some more originals with a little bit more content that I provide rather than reacting. But again, I still love the reaction videos, whether or not people like them or not. It's just fun. We watch TV and movies and all that for a reaction. So it's exactly what I still plan on doing as well. But this one and this particular story really caught my interest off guard because one, didn't hear about it when it had happened, and it's all over the place. And I'm sure you guys have probably already heard about it. But coming from a different point of view, it might catch your interest. So I hope you guys stick around and give it a look see. And we'll go ahead and jump right into it. So thank you very much, and I appreciate you watching. If this is your first time visiting my channel, welcome. Feel free to look through the content. Have tons of music videos, have tons of true crime. And if the feeling hits you, feel free to like and subscribe. If not, leave a comment on what you like, you don't like. If you have any suggestions, that's always big for me because I love going through the comments. And as many people know, I always do my best to go through and comment back to everybody who ever writes me a comment or a direct message. I often make videos from people who ask me a direct message, who ask, please don't mention my name, and just wanted to ask a direct question regarding, the entertainment industry, because that is my background. I came from the music industry, now in the film industry as an actor. Two movies plus a third one underway. So, yeah, I always give my opinion on a lot of different subjects. So, if you guys are interested, like, subscribe, leave a comment, and look forward to having you here. So, let's jump right into this story, shall we? So Andrew, by all accounts, was just your everyday TikToker, making videos of him and his dog, him and his girlfriend goofing around in general, her children, playing with them. Not one bit would suggest that he was interested in cryptids, into ufology, into demonology, the paranormal, any of the above. None of that ever popped up on his TikTok page. Nothing of the sort was ever mentioned that he was interested in this. And you could go and look at his TikTok page. I believe it's still active. He went by the handle Handykapt. That would be HANDYKAPT. And what he caught the very first time just sparked his interest like none other. And that led him down a rabbit hole that many have said to this day is one of the bigger internet conspiracy theories in quite some time. A good example of this would be, if you guys ever watched that documentary, Don't Fuck with Cats, it's about a group of people who are animal activists started getting videos of this sick, MFer doing horrible things to cats, and thank God they don't show it on the documentary, but just a suggestion is awful. So the RIB, the Reddit Investigation Bureau, I mean, some of these people are legitimately just smart and bright and maybe have the background of a private investigator or detective or perhaps retired FBI. You never know. But everything from the carpet to the cloth on his couches, that they could at least, what's the word I'm looking for here? That they could at least see in these videos, because this person went out of his way to make sure that nobody could, find his location. These people were actually able to find out who this person was just from the little mundane things that he, filmed while torturing animals. And so they got a hold of the Toronto police and, told them, hey, we have this person here, he's doing this bad thing to cats. It's going to be a matter of time before he does this to people. They didn't take their call seriously, and now the man is in prison for doing something completely heinous to an individual. And even everyone from the RIB to Canada's CISS or CIIS their version of the CIA, it's been said that they have looked into it and cannot or will say that the information is valid. So when you stick to the end, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. Now, as Andy and his friend are traveling in their truck, Andrew captures something far off in the distance. And this was his first thought that came to his mind when he captured this.
What is it?
It's a person, dude. No, seriously, pull over, pull over.
No.
There's a person standing there.
No, it's not.
Dude,
Now, obviously, many of you are familiar with the tree line on mountains. Above a certain part, trees will stop growing. It's too cold. It's just not conducive for anything to grow. If you were to ask me just by looking at this and without any, any subtitles or anything, I'd be like, oh, that's just a lone tree by itself up there. Or, oh, that's, just looks like a tower. But Andrew, having no interest in any of the type of fields that I mentioned, this was his very first thought. So either he was playing a troll for a long time and just waiting to bait people and then trap them, or this is what he really thought. Because to me, this thing isn't moving, it's stationary, so it has to tell me that it's some type of tower.
have you seen what I seen right now?
So, as I said earlier, in April of 2022, Andrew Dawson captures this giant on this peak, on this ridge line. Of course, the driver is a lot more skeptical, but he is dead set on wanting to find out what is going on. Now, this particular pull-up here has some subtitles, but when he posted it to his TikTok, he had an explosion of views, went viral. That's often a bad thing for people, because all of a sudden you post something that goes viral and everyone and their mother is looking at your videos. You're like, oh my god, this is so cool, I just went viral, this and that. So it gave him a greater purpose to go back and find out what the hell this thing was. And that's exactly what he did. He was getting grief from Reddit users saying, oh, your video's so shaky, this and that. Well, I can even attest, if you ever take your cell phone, zoom it all the way in and try to hold it steady, that thing it's nearly impossible. So off from that distance, it was a little bit easier and it wasn't as shaky. But of course, they wanted something that was a lot more concrete than what he provided. And so Andrew decides to go to one of the construction spots and use what he called something like a tripod of some sorts and try to film it. And when he returns back to the area, it's called Whistler Mountain in Vancouver. Mind you, he's British. He's from British Columbia. What ends up happening is what he spotted on that ridge line that day that he believed to be a person, it all of a sudden vanished. And so then he started getting more grief, as you could imagine. Same place, but completely gone. And as he gets ready to go and drive up this mountain, which, by the way, it's an open park, not a national park, but it's open to the public, and he gets no better. And he would not be. Could that have been a bad move on his part? Absolutely. So when he goes back, he's obviously using his phone camera and barely putting it up there, it looks like, to catch a glimpse. Now, unmarked black vehicle parked at the same spot he said once again. And guy comes out with his flashlight on, waving him down, telling him this is closed off locally. And let me see if we could hear some audio from this. Now, we didn't hear the audio from that, unfortunately. I tried to pull up the originals. Some of the originals are not there or have a lot of music in it in the background. But after he's told the second time to turn around, he goes back once again. And this time, you can tell that this is a completely different ridge. This isn't that Whistler's Ridge. This is a completely different ridge. And all of a sudden, he starts capturing. Now, I don't want to get ahead of myself here because I hope they show it on this particular channel where I'm pulling the evidence from. But they showed what looks to be black helicopters bringing in gear. Not only that, from the government helicopters bringing in something like a tower or removing a tower, he captures this anomalous object. Now, for me personally, the first thing I would say, and in the original video, you could see the mountain right here and then this. I would have said, okay, an exhaust trail. But you don't see any airplane going either which way, and by the mountain being right there, it kind of gives you some context of which way this, would be going. Because just looking straight up, you might be like, okay, that looks vertical, when it could actually be traveling straight. And you just start getting some earth curvature. Flat earthers, don't come out and attack me, okay? The earth is round. Or spherical. Or oblique. But anyways, during the whole time that he has this recorded, not once, and he has it recorded for over a minute, 2 minutes long, it does not dissipate. It does not lose its shape. It just stays there, hovers there. Again, this is just piquing his curiosity more and more and more. It's like giving a baby candy. The more you give it, the more you want it, and the more he keeps on getting more and more manic about trying to find out what the hell's going on. And this pub is in this locally owned, locally open park where he's now been turned away twice. He's starting to videotape these and upload these to his either his YouTube, his TikTok. It seemed like he was more into TikTok, but if somebody found out who he was by his license plate, say that was a real CIA agent, and he didn't give him much trouble, he did exactly as he was told, he turned around. It's not that difficult to find out where this person is, where this person lives. Holy crap. So not long after those two instances with the CIA agent, Andrew begins to become stalked by this same black vehicle. Now, he doesn't see who's driving, but all guesses would be it was the same man who was telling him to turn around to begin with. Now, this is where things kind of get a little, off track for me. I think the CIA, FBI, even our police force would do a lot better job of casing out a joint than this. This is right outside his front porch. So unless you're trying to send a harsh message, which I doubt the CIA is going to do, because you're probably not on their target list of terrorists, of, members of certain terrorist organizations. Certainly didn't seem like Andrew was, but he sees this parked vehicle that he's ran into now. This would be the third time, parked right outside his house. Now let's see if we could get any narration from this. So you have to say, and it's kind of weird for me, but why would a CIA car have a different exhaust system? It's hard to hear in this video, but if you go up and pull up some other videos, the car has an aftermarket exhaust system. Not very many government vehicles have that, and mind you, I never worked for the CIA, but I have worked for the federal government. I had a pretty high clearance dealing with HIPAA information, which you need to really have a high clearance. And so, why would it have an after exhaust system? I have no idea. Why would it be parked right there where Andrew could see it? I have no idea. But it was there, and you have to have some serious cojones to go out there and confront the person who's parked right outside your home. He goes out there, as you can see, with his cell phone to confront the man. Now, the man hasn't had a problem confronting him once to this point. Why would he have a problem confronting him now? I have no clue. But he speeds off, and now Andrew becomes paranoid. Okay, so for me, as an actor, when you get up in front of 7 to 9 executives, casting agents, directors, that is extremely nerve-wracking. I've told the story. I bombed the shit out of my audition. I really, really did for my very first feature film. I absolutely sucked. I called my mom. She's like, hey, how did it go? I'm like, terrible. You know, yeah, I don't know what happened. We were just coming out of COVID. The lockdown lifted. Wasn't used to being around people. Again, just because if you were taking it easy like I was like, yeah, I did like shit. Surprisingly, I get the call back to do a part, to be a part of it. And I'm like, holy shit, I can't believe this. So, all the years of acting, I can say wholeheartedly that, you could, even to the untrained person, anybody could tell, okay, this guy's a good actor or this guy's a bad actor. Good actor, Gary Oldman. Oh my God, that dude's fucking amazing. Colin Murray. Jesus Christ, the dude's amazing. I mean, Christian Bale, amazing. I mean, you have so many good actors. But this whole thing that you're about to hear, his mannerisms, everything seems so coordinated. He makes it look more obvious than anything you possibly can. And here's what I mean.
All the videos that I posted were scripted. They were just fake. They were just strictly for entertainment.
Now, what do you notice there? Looking off to the left. Why? I think somebody who is making a confessional video isn't going to be so scripted. And this is clearly scripted. He's clearly looking off to the left intently. When you go in for an audition, you'll have like the script in front of you, because they don't always ask you to memorize the lines before you go in. Sometimes it helps, but when you go in, you're like, you're reading off a page here. But that's not what's going on here. Not saying that this had to be up to par with the movie quality type of vibe, but a lot of body linguists, and it doesn't take experts either to suggest this, but look at his mannerisms. That of self-comfort. So, did he plan out this fake crap? I don't know. It's hard to say, because he is showing signs of, being uncomfortable. Hands in the pocket. The thing that just really throws it off for me are the eyes. It is blatantly obvious he is looking at something or somebody. The other thing that is blatantly obvious is, number 2, every single one of Andrew's videos were always filmed by him. So you have the shaky camera, you have, the front of the camera facing you, recording your kids, recording whatever you're doing. This seems to be on a stable tripod. And the other thing that throws me off is that you could absolutely tell, no doubt, that this was filmed on a different type of camera. Different type of phone camera, or just a different type of camera in general. I mean, look at the difference between the two. There's no doubt that this was filmed by some other camera. So again, my question posed is, did he start this TikTok back in early July of 21 and wait all this time for April of 2022 to pull off one of the biggest hoaxes, to pull off being one of the biggest trolls? I don't know. It is very hard to say, but I'll let this continue to play. Now, some things and some subplots that this particular individual missed was there was and is a podcaster named Tony Merkel who runs the Confessional podcast. And I might be getting that completely wrong. I apologize. But let's just give it some time because it may come after this part. But Andrew now is backpedaling on everything that he said. So now are we getting somebody who's starting to cry wolf too much? I don't know.
Yep.
So now, this isn't the ridgeline where he originally caught the giant. This is the ridgeline where he's seen the helicopters and he's seen the UAP, unidentified aerial phenomenon, or UFO, and the black helicopters moving stuff around. All of a sudden, you have this communications tower, it looks like, that was built rather quickly. Now, is everybody in the know what the government does? No, absolutely not. You know, they don't have to tell us, and they don't tell us anything. And the same probably goes in British Columbia. But he goes back, and the same mountain where all those helicopters were is now built this, what would only be described as maybe a military type of outpost, a listening post, radar post, could be for the weather, who knows. But once again, giving sugar to a kid, he's like, what the is going on? Now all of a sudden, it's getting more and more real. After he posted this video, the gentleman said no one's seen him online since. Now, that is not true. And again, this is just pulling from different sources. Some of them will allow me to record, some of them don't. And the very first one I released last night, I was hoping, yes, got this one together, but it didn't record the parts of showing the footage that Andrew had caught. So Andrew did go back to posting, and what he started posting next was quite different from what he had been posting over the last several months. So after what the last narrator said, that he never posted again, I had mentioned Tony Merkel of the podcast, the Confessional podcast, reached out to Andrew and said, hey, would you be interested in doing a show? And he did this all through text message, in which he responded back to him, and he denied wanting to do the show. And once again, Andrew flip-flops. Now, this is what Andrew had to say, and Tony Merkel from the Confessionals podcast. Once again, all fake, everything fake, it's a fake. But yet he was adamant in saying, no, everything I seen was real. You know, if my life has to be over it, then, you know, that's what I'm going to do. You know, that's what's going to happen. That was odd. Excuse me, I'm sorry about that, people. I should be knowing to turn this off. And so, what is the truth? What the hell is going on here? Nobody could quite figure out what the hell Andrew is doing. If it's him being coaxed, if it's him being threatened, if it's him being what. But you go to say it's fake, you go to say no, it is real, then you go back to saying it's fake. It's just a lot of flip-flopping, and that's what makes it even more of a mystery. Okay, so from all intents and purposes, he contacted Tony Merkel after this particular video. I know that for a fact because it was time-stamped when they were showing it. So it may be slightly out of order here, but the Andrew Markle thing was the very last step that he took in wanting to get the story out there. Many of friends were telling him, hey, listen, get a lawyer, go to the media. If you're starting to fear for your life, doing this podcast would be helpful. What brings to mind is, and many of you people might know of him or might not know of him, but Bob Lazar. Bob Lazar worked for Los Alamos National Labs. And Los Alamos is the birthplace, or one of the places of the atomic bomb. Now, Bob Lazar was on the front cover of the Los Alamos newspaper for building a jet engine car. He put a jet engine in his Honda. Yet, he gets offered a position with Q clearance, which is the highest possible civilian clearance you could get. Mine was pretty high. My ex-wife's was higher than mine because she works directly for the government. I was just a contractor. Hers is really high, but Q clearance is the highest you could possibly get. He is a scientist, a physicist, and they wanted him to come in on this program to back engineer some stuff. Now, I'm not going to say what. If you're interested in learning about his story, I would suggest looking at it. But don't go in there listening to just one story. It is a plethora of stories of the people who he was with, such as Bob Lear, whose father created the Lear jet. Why can't I think of his name? George Knapp, who, when he first received a packet of this information from Bob Lazar, is one of the most well-respected journalists and anchormen in Las Vegas TV, that he could have ruined his career by running this. But Bob Lazar ran to the media, and the reason why all this had happened was he was aware that the government was going to tap his lines. He was aware that they were going to monitor him 24/7, given the project that he was doing. He even had to work on a project at MIT for an awful, awful weapon, which has never been made public. But for those of who are in the know, said it was just, worse than the atomic bomb. It was just something horrendous. And it's funny because when they go back and they search for his records at Los Alamos Air Force Base or Los Alamos National Labs, he's nowhere to be found in their system, yet he's on the front page of their newsletter. He was a professor there for years, and they say they can't find any record of him, but yet he's right there on the newspaper as Professor so-and-so makes a jet engine car. So there's a lot of cover-up. He also provided W-2s of, getting his checks from, I forgot exactly who it was coming from. I know it was the Navy, but how they worded it, he gave out everything for the protection of his life. And there had been many, many attempts on his life where friends of his even said, hey, look, you need to go out and buy a gun. Friends of his would be driving in the car with him. People were shooting at him. So if you talk about paranoia, this Bob Lazar had paranoia to the nth degree, but being extremely intelligent. He's kind of outsmarted the government, and by now they probably have let it go. He's still afraid of some, things are still follow, under the, statutory limitations, but he's a good example of why somebody in a position where they're scared for their lives by the CIA, by some government entity, should go to the media. All of Andrew's friends told him to do that. He didn't listen. They told him to do the podcast. He wouldn't listen. And so let's pick up.
Yep.
It's completely wrong. Whistler's Peak was a peak where he caught the giant, or what he believed to be a giant. It just looked like, to me again, a lone tree, which is above the tree line, so that can be possible, or a tower. This is a completely different ridge, and you can tell if you put the ridges side by side. Now, after he caught this is speculative. Did the government reach out to him again and tell him, you really, really need to keep this quiet? Because after this video, and I don't know if this gentleman's going to mention it, but Andrew went to posting on Facebook just normal, everyday things. I'm sure from going viral, he posted a picture of his new ride, which was a white Lamborghini, I would say Murcielago or Aventador. Working out, positive messages, things of that nature. Those were his last posts before suddenly something out of the unexpected realm occurred.
Life.
Amazing. 34 years old. And an obituary for Andrew Dawson was in the local newspaper. Now, there's no information on whether or not he took his own life. There's no information on whether or not his manner of death. People have tried filing FOIA requests, which can take up to 2 years, 3 years, even more. For those of you who don't know, FOIA requests are Freedom of Information Act. And he's still... no information has been released regarding the death of Andrew Dawson. From going to filming this giant on a ridge, filming these UFOs, filming these black helicopters, it was just bringing him down a rabbit hole in which he could not stay away from. So here's the thing that I don't understand. You see where the helicopters are at. It's well within view of many, many different cars on a highway. Why would they have picked him to be a person to pay for, driving up an open park road and telling him to turn around? Or staking him out so blatantly obvious that even an amateur wouldn't have done that. You want to sit back and observe. You're not going to be right there. I mean, unless, and even then, they have the technology to, bug somebody's house while he's away. But again, it just seems so odd that here he goes from posting normal, regular videos ever since 2021, July of 2021, and then starts posting about the giants, the UFOs, all these other, fringe topics on April 9th of 2022. And then just 3 months later, he passes away. I mean, you really have to be on somebody's radar in order for something like this to happen. As I said earlier, Andrew had zero, and I mean zero, intentions of showing any interest in any of the topics, fringe topics that I had just mentioned. So why all of a sudden would this capture his attention, unless he is being the biggest troll you can possibly be? You could look on Facebook and find that he did post well after his... He posted well after his conversation with Tony Merkel. He posted way after, my life might be in danger. I can't say anything else, but it was real. And why wouldn't you want to heed the advice of others to keep yourself safe? When you're in the public eye and you're in the media, there is a form of safety there. And unfortunately, he just did not listen to anybody who was trying to give him that advice. To find this young, relatively healthy, it looked like, gentleman die in a matter of 3-4 months from just filming whatever, if it was government, if it was, private projects by some company, whatever the case may be. It just took him down a rabbit hole that he couldn't seem to get out of. And unfortunately, Andrew Dawson passed away at the age of 34, which is way too young. So my condolences go out to him and his family. I surely hope that he did not use this as a troll, and especially going that long would be extremely difficult. So hope you guys enjoyed this episode. This is the very first episode where I put together more original content than anything else as far as live reaction goes, or reviews, things of that nature. It might not be as polished as I want it to be, but E for effort. You'll be seeing more videos like this along with my reaction videos, so I thank you for sticking around if you stuck around to the end. Ending that I didn't see coming the first time I was going over this information. But, you know, rest in peace to Andrew Dawson. It's just very, very odd that he would have been in that situation. And, yeah, horrible. Once again, if this is your first time to my channel, feel free to like, subscribe, comment. I read all the comments. I always reply. I need to get better at saying, you know, like and subscribe. I'm on the cusp of 400 people. To me, that's a lot, because I didn't think I'd even get past like 20, to tell you the truth. So for me, this is really, really cool. You know, I do prize giveaways. Shout out to some of my favorite people down in South Africa. Thank you so much for all your support. You guys are awesome. You rock. I want to visit your country one of these days, because I hear South Africa is absolutely beautiful. You know, it has its parts just like every other country, but man, oh man, there's one thing I definitely don't want to do, and that's hop in the ocean, because I know that's where the most great white sharks are at. You know, Toxic Tox 44, she was the very first person to have won a prize from me. She got a Nighthawk. I forgot the model number, but it's a 5 channel Wi-Fi 6 router. Nobody else participated, so she was a winner by proxy. I understand that some people may not be trusting, but I told her, hey, I'll be willing to send her to a church, to your address, to a P.O. box, whatever you feel comfortable with. So, you know, be on the lookout for my little prize giveaways. I love doing them. I love giving, you know, back to the community, and I find this to be a very fun community. Nobody has really came after me and talked a lot of crap. And even if they do, I don't, you know, hey, I don't know them enough to take it personally. But what I do know is your comments mean a lot, and I will always do my best to answer them. So, until next time, I'm completely out. I will definitely be uploading some more stuff along the lines of what I normally do. I appreciate your attention on this. Really means a lot, especially for my first video being like very first time I did a video like this. And you know what? Take care of one another, watch each other's back, and until next time, all I gotta say is peace, and I will see you soon.